to a criteria which was not subjected to the rest of the nominees, and I think Honorable Mwangaza should be approved by this House as a nominee for tourism. Looking at the report and looking at especially the general and sector-specific questions that was asked to some of the nominees, I also noted Honorable Duale perhaps was asked one of the most awkward questions, whether he will be conflicted in performing his role as a CS defense in case of insurgency of Al-Shabaab. I don't know why that specific question was raised to Honorable Duale, which subjected him to trying to prove his Kenyanness, that he is Kenyan first before and also a Somali by tribe. I think that was a very awkward question. And the question on paragraph 229 to Honorable Mutua, the nominee for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, was a good one, especially on the plight of Kenyan migrants and workers.
Time is up. Honorable Faith Gitau.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for granting me this opportunity to offer my line of thoughts regarding the report as presented to this House by the Committee of Appointment. I want to congratulate this committee for professionalism portrayed during the vetting. Clearly, it could not have been done better. Well done, colleagues. I watched most of the vetting process, and I must say all nominees came out as pragmatists, very practical, very focused, and goal-oriented. They articulated very well. They are short.
Your time is up. Honorable Sigei, you have 1.5 minutes. Use your time well.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to first start by thanking you for giving me the opportunity to talk today. And secondly, I want to say I'm privileged to talk here in front of my school, Chabilat from Bomet. They are here in the House, and I think they will take the message home that Sigei talked in their presence. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I want to mention these two things. Number one, I want to thank the committee for a good job done. Number two, I want to say that this House is not the court of law, and hence we wait for whatever is going to be done in the court so that we can discuss these issues. For now, I am proposing we pass all these nominees. And thirdly, I want to express my sympathy to Benina Malonza. I'm a father, and I was shocked the way that lady was harassed. I want to say, even the family, I don't think they slept. So I simply...
Order, Honorable Sigei. That is not a statement of fact. Honorable Sigei, that is not a statement of fact. Nobody was harassed. The Speaker chaired the committee. The fact that people didn't answer questions properly doesn't mean it was harassment. Injury, it is over for you, Honorable Sigei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you are aware, all of us, Mr. Speaker, are not yet settled, because at the end of the day, we don't have substantive ministers. We need ministers where we know they are fully in office, where we can present our problems. Already there are so many problems facing this country. Like right now, the issue of drought. You don't know where to go and address, because the president cannot be everywhere. The president alone cannot run this government. Mr. Speaker, I've been charged 17 times before I became a member of parliament, and all those cases, none of them could stand the test of time. Mr. Speaker, we cannot judge as members of parliament because we already judged out there. And we have to give people opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to be heard at any level, so that at least, Mr. Speaker, it is not about regimes that are going to judge us. If these people had been judged during the regime of Mwai Kibaki, then we can say there is a bit of fairness. Some of us have been taken through DCI 9 times, Mr. Speaker, left free, and even today, none of our cases have ever been, we have never been charged, but 9 times dragged through the DCI offices. Mr. Speaker, it's not fair that members who are seated here, who knew how the regime that was there operated, can be sitting here.
Time up. The mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, let me just take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to thank all the members. The Honorable Wango is bowing, but he's lost his opportunity. To thank all the members of this House, Honorable Speaker, for their very good contributions, and listening to all the contributions by many members, it's clear that the House, to a large extent, does agree with the committee in terms of the recommendations made, especially on the approvals. And Honorable Speaker, I've also had numerous members speak on the rejection, the one rejection, and the reservations that were expressed by the minority in their minority report, Honorable Speaker. And maybe just to pick up from where the Honorable Kinjuri has left, Honorable Speaker, it is indeed true that people have been charged in this country with crimes that they have not committed. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, besides being charged, there are people, and we've all witnessed in the last few weeks, people who have lost their lives out of actions of omission or commission by the former regime, Honorable Speaker. And we know what kind of country we were living in under the previous regime, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, I really want to implore on the House, as the Honorable Mwangi Kinjuri has said, that even himself, before he became minister, he had been charged numerous times. The Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Linturi...
I'll give you 2 minutes to wind up.
The Honorable Linturi, Honorable Speaker, did indicate that all the cases I stated yesterday that he has in court are civil cases. And the only criminal case that he had already been withdrawn, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, I really want to ask the House to support the committee's report. As I said yesterday, Honorable Speaker, the committee expressed itself on Penina Malonza, but the decision, the ultimate decision, lies in this House. And Honorable Speaker, I really want to ask the House to make an informed decision based on the debate that has transpired here, Honorable Speaker, and the information that is already in your hands in the report. And with that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply and ask all members to, in a very bipartisan manner, support all these nominees to allow His Excellency the President to go ahead, swear them in, and form government so that they may start the work of serving the people of Kenya. We all went through a vigorous campaign, and our constituents are waiting for service from government. And we are all, I'm sure we're all going to be ready to hold to account all these cabinet secretaries once they are sworn in. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to reply.
Honorable members, before I put the question, we will vote on this motion as follows. Once I put the question, you will vote on a voice vote on numbers, nominees numbers 1 to 21 as one vote. You will then vote on nominee Roman 2, the appointed Attorney General. You will then vote on the nominee Roman 3, Mercy Wanjau, Secretary of the Cabinet. Then you will vote on the rejection of Penina Malonza, Roman 4. Depending on how you vote on Roman 4, I'll then give you further direction. I now put the question. So I'll read up to 21, ask you to vote. Then we go to Roman 2, you vote. Roman 3, you vote. Then Roman 4, you vote. Honorable members, I now put the question. Can the members at the bar take their seats? Members, take your seats quickly. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. We'll now put the question. Before I put the question, allow me, members, to also acknowledge the presence in the public gallery of Precious Blood Girls High School from Kiambu County. We all welcome them to the House of Parliament. Honorable members, I now put the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Committee on Appointments in its first report on the vetting of nominees for approval as Cabinet Secretaries, the Secretary of the Cabinet and the Attorney General laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, October 24th, 2022, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 152(2), 154(2)A, and 156(2) of the Constitution, and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House, 1, approves the appointment of the following persons as Cabinet Secretaries. The Honorable Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, EGH, Office of the Prime Cabinet Minister. The Honorable Professor Kithure Kindiki, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration. The Honorable Professor Njuguna Ndungu, CBS, Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning. The Honorable Alice Mudhoni Wahome, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. The Honorable Rebecca Miano, MBS, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of East African Community, the ASALs and Regional Development. The Honorable Alfred Nganga Mutua, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora. The Honorable Aisha Juma Karisa Katana, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action. The Honorable Moses K. Kuria, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Trade, Investment and Industry. The Honorable Rosalinda Soipan Tuya, CBS, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Environment and Forestry. The Honorable Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Roads, Transport and Public Works. Mr. Sakaria Mwangi Njeru, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. Ms. Susan Nahumicha Wafula, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Health. The Honorable Franklin Mithika Linturi, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Mr. Eliud Okech Owalo, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy. The Honorable Ezekiel Machogu Ombaki, CBS, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Education. Mr. Davis Kimutai Chirchir, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Energy and Petroleum. The Honorable Ababu Namwamba, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts. Mr. Simon Kiprono Chelugui, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, MSME Development. The Honorable Salim Mvuria, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Mining, the Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs. The Honorable Florence Chepngetich Kosgei Bore, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Labor and Social Protection. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say no? No. The ayes have it. The next is to call upon you on that the House approves the appointment of the Honorable Justin Bedan Njoka Muturi, EGH, as the Attorney General. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. The next is to call upon you. Can the members at the bar take their seats? Order, honorable members. The next is to call upon the House that the House approves the appointment of Ms. Mercy Kiiru Wanjau. Order. The House approves the appointment of Ms. Mercy Kiiru Wanjau, CBS, as the Secretary to the Cabinet. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. And the last vote, order, honorable members. The last vote is that the House rejects the appointment of the Honorable Penina Malonza, OGW, as the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife, and Heritage. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. Now, order, honorable members, the upshot of that vote, honorable members, is that you have approved the appointment of all the nominees up to Mercy Kiiru Wanjau. You have negatived the rejection of Penina Malonza. This means Penina Malonza is now in purgatory. She's neither in heaven nor in hell. She's in purgatory. Now, the next move on Penina Malonza, I have received and approved a motion by the Honorable Irene Kasalu. She wants to move the House now to decide whether to shift Penina Malonza from purgatory to hell or to heaven. And I will now give her an opportunity to move the motion. Once she moves the motion, we have a seconder. Order, honorable members, order. Once she moves the motion, we have a seconder. Once we have a seconder, I want to encourage the House that you have overventilated on this matter. You allow the chair to put the question after proposing the question. Is the Honorable Kasalu in the House? I invite you now to move your motion in not more than 10 minutes. And your seconder will be allotted 5 minutes. You can go ahead, the Honorable Kasalu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And in the view of the decision of the House today, with respect to the motion on the approval of appointment of Hon. Penina Malonza, OGW, as a Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife, and Heritage, and the requirement for...
Sorry, Honorable Kasalu, I think we have jumped the gun. First, give notice of your motion. Thereafter, I'll then allow you to move it. Then it gets seconded, and we move as guided. So first, give notice of the motion.
So I just read that to you.
Just start by saying, I give notice of the following motion, then read the motion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I give notice of motion for the approval of appointment of Penina Malonza, OGW, as a Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. Yes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kasalu, now you may proceed to...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And in the view of the House decision today, with respect to the motion on the approval of appointment of Penina Malonza, OGW...
Honorable Kasalu, when you move your motion, you start by saying, I move the following motion.
Thank you, Honorable
Then you
Speaker.
read the motion as it is, then go on to elucidate what you want to say.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand guided. And Honorable Speaker, I move the following motion, that in the view of the decision of the House today, with respect to the motion on the approval of appointment of Honorable Penina Malonza, OGW, as a Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage, and the requirement for an unequivocal decision of the National Assembly on such matters, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Article 152(2) of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Act of 2011, that this House approves the appointment of the Penina Malonza, OGW, as a Cabinet Secretary for the Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. Honorable Speaker, allow me to say that I want to thank the people of Kitui for electing me for the second time. And I must say that I had a worthy opponent by the name Penina Malonza. And having her as my opponent, I can only say good words about her. Penina Malonza is a brave woman. This lady decided to vie for women of Kitui County on a UDA ticket, despite the area being a wiper zone. And the people of Kitui actually voted for her with a lot of votes. And I think she's the only candidate for Mukambani who vied on UNDA who got the highest votes. Penina Malonza is a woman of integrity. She has not been charged in any court in this country on any issue. Penina Malonza is well schooled, and she's an appointment of what many girls on this country would aspire to get academically. Penina Malonza has a working history. She was the last deputy governor for Kitui County when Malombe was the governor. And it's during this time the duo delivered for the people of Kitui, and a lot of development were done in Kitui County. Penina Malonza is being looked at by all the people of Kitui County. I'm sure, Speaker, you have heard of the many bandits attacking the Kitui County. And Penina Malonza comes from one of those areas that is Mother Ward. And the people of Kitui are looking upon her. Once this nomination has gone through and she's has gone through and she become the CS for Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage, that she's be able to sort the issue of the bandit attack. So with these few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to call upon Dr. Pukose of Debes constituency to second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I second first before the point of order.
Honorable member, Dr. Bukosa, take your seat. What is out of order, honorable member? Give him the mic, please. Give the honorable member the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And first, I'm not talking about the rejection of Honorable Penina. We support her. But Honorable Irene Kasalu talked about that Honorable Penina will sort out the issue of bandit attacks
Honorable
in Kitui.
member, you are out of order.
So
Take
the
your
point
seat.
we are talking about.
Take your seat, Honorable member. You are grossly out of order. Honorable Dr. Bukose, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to second
Honorable
the motion.
member, for order, Honorable Bukose, for avoidance of any such incidents in future, honorable members, especially for our new colleagues, you stand on a point of order when a colleague is on the floor, on the feet, and has breached some standing order. Number two, I and the panelists of the Speaker's chair will, going forward, demand to know which standing order has been breached when you say point of order, so that you don't come under the guise of point of order and embark on a totally different misadventure. Thirdly, when you want to raise a point of order, the member against whom you are raising must still be on the floor. Once the member has left the floor, you cannot raise a point of order about what they were saying. Honorable Bukose, you have 5 minutes or less.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to second the motion by Honorable Irene Kasalu on that this House approves the appointment of Penina Malonza as the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife, and Heritage. Honorable Speaker, today morning we were having a cup of tea and discussing with Honorable Nzengu, member for Mwingi North, among others. And at times you look at the Cabinet Secretary is supposed to be in charge of policy, not technical. And I asked the member, if you are bitten by a snake, where do you report? It's supposed to be you report to the police station, get a P3 form, then go and see a doctor. Once you've seen a doctor, the doctor feels the extent of your injuries. But I know many of you didn't know that. So we should not be able to ask, at times we ask so technical questions, but somebody with that level of education will be able to learn. Let's give this lady an opportunity to be able to deliver to this country as a Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife, and National Heritage. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I beg to propose the question that pursuant to the provisions of Article 152(2) of the Constitution and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of the Honorable Penina Malonza OGW as the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife, and Heritage. I will now put the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Articles 152(2) of the Constitution and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of the Honorable Penina Malonza OGW as the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Wildlife, and Heritage. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order. Will now, honorable members, go back to the motion of the member for Lurambi, the Honorable Titus Hamala. You had moved your motion. Now we want your seconder. Who is your seconder?
In fact,
Mudenyo.
alikuwa amemove, eh?
Okay. Rachel.
Si mwenyekiti bwana. Order number 10, motion, review of teacher deployment policy.
Honorable members, we shall proceed with the business of the House. And before I give the Honorable Wundo to second the motion, I wish to welcome a delegation from the German Parliament, the Honorable His Excellency Sebastian Groth, Ambassador, the Honorable Hermann Freber, the Honorable Suzanne Mittag, the Honorable Rita Hagel-Kell, the Honorable Arthur Unama, the Honorable Albert Stegemann, the Honorable Karl Beer, the Honorable Ingo Bocke, the Honorable Peter Felser, and the Honorable Ina Latendorf. Their delegation are in the country on the invitation of by Honorable Joshua Kandie, the MP for Baringo Central Constituency. We wish to invite them to the House and wish them good deliberations, and stay in the country. You are welcome. Honourable members, I wish to give this chance to the Honourable Wundo to second the motion.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And on the onset, let me sincerely congratulate you as my neighbor for having been appointed to sit in the Speaker's panel and preside over this session. Honourable Speaker, let me also take this opportunity before I formally second the motion to thank the people of Funyula constituency for giving me a chance to serve them as their Member of Parliament for a second term, 2022-2027. It is a great honor to serve them for the second term, and that's a testimony for the good work we did, I and my team, in the first term. Second, let me also take this opportunity to sincerely thank the people of Busia for electing Dr. Paul Nyongesa Otuoma as the governor of Busia, and in totality now, we are able to showcase the dominance of ODM in Busia County as we forge the next level. Honorable Speaker, as we stand here today, Honorable Titus Hamala, Bishop, has presented to us a matter that has been a topic of extensive debate in our constituencies, in our villages, and in this country. And that debate has been the impact, the policy impact of the localization, i.e. to mean moving teachers from their local areas to go and teach and offer services to the various parts of this country. Granted that teachers are public servants, and once you get employed as a public servant, you are duty-bound to serve this country in any station and in any capacity as long as it's within some basic human rights and basic tenets of good governance. Honorable Speaker, teachers are extremely important members of this society. They shape attitudes, they shape society, they make us who we are here. None of us will be here if it wasn't for the immense impact of the teacher that brought us where we are here. We also appreciate that Kenya is our one country whereby we must have extensive exchange of ideas, culture, so that we build one unequivocal or one undivided country called Kenya. I'm privileged to have gone to Bujuanga Primary School. I'm privileged to have come to Starehe Boys Center and School, and that sojourn from the village to Nairobi opened up my mind to appreciate and understand the entire culture of the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, we must also appreciate and understand that teachers offer labor services, and they're offering their labor services are guided by the rules and regulations of ILO and other labor institutions. Consequently, even as provided in the Constitution, any decision that affects somebody, that person who is likely to be affected ought to have a direct impact, a direct contribution to that such kind of momentous decision. Honorable Speaker, in the 5 years as an MP, many teachers came to complain to me, Honorable Speaker, I have a sick mother, I have a sick spouse, I have small children who attend school here, I've been transferred to faraway lands. I do not know what I'm going to do. Honorable Speaker, many have also come to me, especially lady teachers, asking me, Mheshimiwa, I have been transferred very away from my husband, but the way I look at my husband, this could be the end of the marriage. Honorable Speaker, and that's why it is extremely important, Honorable Speaker, that the policy of delocalization, however noble, however well-intentioned it is, requires a further rethink, a further review. And that's why, as we stand here today, we might not necessarily oppose in totality, but we call upon the Teacher Service Commission and the Education CS to literally look at the matter in a holistic manner, come up with very clear criteria. As Bishop Hamala said yesterday, it's untenable, it's unacceptable, and it's manifestly unfair to transfer a 55-year-old man from his place of board, where he has lived all those years, take him far away land, where he has nobody there, he has no friends there, he cannot learn new tricks, he cannot learn new ideas. You can't teach an old dog any new ideas. Forcing the man at such an age to start now scrapping sufrias to cook food for himself is sincerely demeaning that kind of a man. Taking away a man from the hot climate of Ugenya, take him to Limuru, to go live and sleep alone in the deliberating cold. Honestly speaking, Honorable Speaker, you are not being unfair to that particular man or that particular woman teacher. That's why as we stand here today, it is important that TSC, the ministry, sits down and sets very clear criteria. Where I sit, Honorable Speaker, if the ministry and TSC cared to ask, would essentially request that after a certain age, there shouldn't be such kind of harsh transfers. Those transfers should only start, the localization should only apply to the new teachers that are coming into service. A newly graduate should be allowed to explore this country. A new graduate should be allowed to know other places, learn other cultures. A new graduate should be able to interact and also learn something new, just like they do in the police services and in the civil services. As you tend towards retirement, you are taken closer home where you can be taken care of. You are taken closer home where you can learn how to live with the people. Because once you retire, you require those villagers, you require those relatives, you require those high school friends. So in that score, Honorable Speaker, I support and I hope the new CS, having been a DC in Busia, understands the administrative issues, will address this particular issue. I stand to second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I wish to propose the motion that aware that education is a key enabler of national development and realization of Kenya's Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, appreciating the invaluable role that teachers play in actualizing the national goals of education, noting that a conducive working environment for teachers enhances performance, recalling that the localization of teachers commenced in 2018 by the TSC immensely disrupted teachers' lives, lowered teacher morale, and caused untold trauma to many teachers countrywide, concerned that the exercise was not supported with a clear policy framework and was initiated without the participation of teachers or their unions, contrary to Articles 118 and 132 of the Constitution on public participation and involvement of the people in the process of policy making, cognizant of the fact that the localization of teachers is inconsistent with the UNESCO teacher deployment practice, which treats education as a culture process conducted within a people's cultural context at the local level. This House resolves that the Teacher Service Commission immediately reverses the ongoing delocalization of teachers and initiates a comprehensive review of the teacher deployment policy with the involvement of the teachers in order to make the policy consistent with the ILO and UNESCO laws and practices on teacher management and deployment. And the first person to have a bite on the cherry on this motion would be the Honorable John Gitonga of Manyata.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support this motion. First, I would like to say and congratulate the member, Honorable Titus Hamala, MP, for coming up with this motion at the right time, especially when we are constituting a new government. Honorable Speaker, we are aware that we have just passed the whole list of CSs. Among them is the CS for education. I would like to say that myself, and I always tell everybody that I'm a product of teachers. If it were not for teachers, Gitonga Mukunji would not be here in this house today. I'm also a a son-in-law to teachers. And, Honorable Speaker, this issue of transfer of teachers is a controversial issue. Whenever